All right, so welcome to another little introduction video. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Petrella is originally from Buffalo, New York, and we're a little bit excited right now because for the first time since I was your age or younger, the Buffalo Bills have made it to the AFC Championship game. Now, by the time you watch this, you will have known what's happened or not, so please don't spoil it for me because while I'm making this video, it still hasn't happened yet. Anyhow, moving on to chapter 21, World War I and its aftermath. So, yeah, World War I in this chapter, we really want to focus a lot of our attention on the impact of World War I on the United States. After all, this is a U.S. history class. And there is absolutely no doubt that World War I actually defines the United States as one of the new industrial powers in the world. And it also has a huge impact on the American people. And we're looking at that in our discussion group that you should be participating in. You know, things like how it affects race relations, the introduction of the flu pandemic. So our first kind of exploration into that world that you know oh so well thanks to COVID. And of course, the first Red Scare, political dissension, all sorts of stuff. Like I said, we're looking at a discussion group. Instead, in this video, what I want to focus more attention on is that thing that is not really the focus of our class, the role of World War I in Europe and, of course, the rest of the world. The thing to understand about World War I is as we've watched the United States develop as an industrial superpower, the other European industrialized nations are basically doing the same thing. Great Britain, Germany, France. They're becoming these industrial powers that, just like the United States in Chapter 19, need access to raw materials and new markets. Thus, they're expanding their empires just like the United States did. And the long story short, when you watch the beginning of the chapter 21 slideshow, is that this expansion of power means that they're going to butt heads. And in the end, they butt heads in a huge way, creating World War I, where we have the allied nations of Great Britain, France, Russia, versus the central powers of Germany, the Ottoman Turkish Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the kind of the old guard. And in the end, the United States will help the Allies defeat these central powers. But when all is said and done, you've lost 10 million people. This new industrial form of war has demonstrated the inhumanity and the idea that with technology, we are much more capable of mass destruction than we were before. This is an issue that, of course, is going to be even more glowing when we get to World War II in just a couple chapters, which begs that other question. How, with the horror of World War I, does World War II happen so quickly? Well, part of the answer to that is World War I itself. World War I ends with this real uneasy peace agreement of the Treaty of Versailles, in which Germany is basically blamed by the Allied powers for how World War I had played out. Even though, just like any good fight or argument, there's plenty of blame to go around, and hopefully you picked up on that in the Chapter 21 slideshow or in the textbook. But Germany, because they're the loser, they're the one who really is kind of blamed for everything. Thus, under the Treaty of Versailles, they face territorial losses, they face reparations, they face demilitarization. Of course, this kind of emasculating of the German nation is going to create a lot of resentment. And as the economy globally starts to collapse into the 1920s and 30s, and we'll see that in the United States by Chapter 23, that pain of economic burden will be laid at the feet in Germany of the German government, and the failures of that German government dating back to the loss of World War I in the Treaty of Versailles. What's this do? Well, it leads to the rise of extremism, and in the case of Germany, the rise of the Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler, looking to remedy the struggles of the people with very simplistic answers and scapegoating. This should not be a surprise to any of you. This is something we see throughout history, not just in the world, but across the United States history spectrum, and that's what's happening in Germany. As a result, the seeds for World War II are in so many ways laid by the aftermath of World War I in Europe and across the globe. One of the things I wanted to quick remind you of before I run out of time on this video is the fact that, as you know, you got a couple things to do this week. Next week is one of those big weeks where we have a quiz, a discussion group, things like that. in a module. But the week after that is actually our midterm exam. So yeah, we're cruising right in on that midterm. So yay, exciting. The midterm exam is, of course, going to be online. It's in two parts, an essay portion where there will be an essay question you have to write, and I give you about a week to do it. In other words, the essay topic actually opens a week before the test actually has to be submitted. In order to do the multiple choice section of the midterm exam, you have to write the essay. In other words, the multiple choice does not unlock until after you've completed the essay. Now, the essay doesn't have to be good. You just have to get it done. I think you and I would both like it to be good, so make sure you focus on the rubric, on the prompt, and take your time with it. The multiple choice section is cumulative, covering the first two modules, and it is timed. So while, yes, you have the ability to do it on your own at home, after all, this is an online class, don't get cocky. You still need to study, you still need to be prepared, or you will find yourself up against that time limit. Each question is given to you individually and you can't go back. So again, make sure you're prepared for the test before you open it. We'll talk more about that in our video next week. Otherwise, we will see you then. And don't forget to stop by one of the chat sessions. Bye.